Johnny Harris has a problem. He's addicted to maps. It's a bit of an obsession. It's become what he's known for. He's so passionate about maps and the regions that divide countries that he had a long-running series on Vox's YouTube channel called Borders, with 38 episodes combining for almost 100 million views. Science has Bill Nye, astrophysics has Neil deGrasse Tyson, and now geopolitics has Johnny Harris. He explores complex political topics, simplifies them, making it entertaining. Social media is junk food for the mind, but Johnny finds a way to serve you your vegetables and have you enjoy them. Today, we'll look at how Johnny Harris turned his obsession for maps and borders into a successful career on YouTube. Let's first understand how Johnny became obsessed with the spinning globe and the squiggly lines that separate regions. We need to go all the way back to his upbringing, his teenage years. Johnny grew up in the Mormon church. For young Mormons in their late teens and early 20s, it's a part of their tradition to go on a missionary program where they're sent to different parts of the world. While Johnny was attending university in Utah, he got the mission call to serve in Tijuana, Mexico.
When I got the letter that told me where I was gonna go, I didn't know where that was.
It's funny to think that the person who's known on YouTube as the Maps guy, at the time he didn't even know where Tijuana was. Johnny wasn't always a geography nerd. In fact, he was quite oblivious to the outside world.
I didn't know geography. I couldn't name any country in Europe my freshman year of college.
This time spent in Tijuana was a life-changing experience for Johnny. It's a border city in Mexico that's just south of California. Every single day after work, a teenage Johnny would spend time staring at this massive 20-foot wall, wondering why was the soil on one side different from the other. To him, it was just all grass and dirt, and it was the same on both sides.
The border wall, Tijuana, is so militant and violent looking. It is 20 feet tall, border patrol trucks driving back and forth. There's like barbed wire everywhere. It looks like a prison.
This sparked a curiosity within him, the seeds of an idea that would guide important decisions in his adult life. Foreshadowing Vox Borders. After completing his mission and returning from Mexico, his time at school was a whirlwind of life-changing events. He gets married, has his first child, and somehow manages to find time to travel.
When I was in college, I did an internship at NATO, with the headquarters of NATO, which was in Brussels.
Eventually, he graduates from college in the field of international relations, hoping to make use of his shiny new degree.
We're moving to Washington, D.C.
Johnny decides to move all the way to the opposite side of the country, from where he was in Utah to the capital, Washington, D.C., with his wife and newborn son, with $0 in his bank account, to a new state where he doesn't know anyone and has no connections. Johnny has his new family depending on him and needs to find employment ASAP. Eventually applies for a job at the CSIS, which is the Center for Strategic and International Studies. It's a non-profit think tank for national security and international issues. He applies for the job in the most interesting way possible, by emailing them and letting them know that the videos on their website are trash.
I don't even know what got into me. I sent these people an email and I said, well, I said some pretty mean things.
And somehow he gets hired. This was a massive milestone, and it was really important in Johnny's growth as a content creator.
CSIS is the place where I really start to establish my identity as someone who makes maps and animates complex stories.
One day while Johnny was working at the CSIS, he stumbled across a website that grabbed his attention.
My jaw just dropped. This is smart. It is beautiful. It is explanatory. I was like, who are these people? Like, I have to figure out a way to talk to these people, and my mind started just spinning.
He's devouring their videos and going down the rabbit hole. He must know more. Sets a goal for himself to get in the door and work for them. Can you guess the company? Yup, you're right. It was Vox. But there was a major problem for Johnny. Vox is a journalistic institution, and they were looking to hire legitimate journalists. And unfortunately for Johnny, he had no experience in that field. He knows it's a long shot and decides to send in his resume and apply.
I was like, I have to freaking get in the door. So I actually spent all of November of 2014 working on like a pitch video. It was like an explainer that was like in the Vox style.
It's a waiting game. A few months go by, and Johnny's wishes come true. He finally hears back and eventually lands his dream job.
My name is Johnny Harris and I make videos here at Vox.
It's the perfect fit for him, combining his studies in international relations with his love for motion graphics. Even during his early days at Vox, we can see his passion for maps shine through.
The US is easily the most powerful country to have ever existed, and it certainly spends more on its military budget than any other country does today.
Everything is going great during the first few years at the company, but there's something missing in his life. This itch that needs to be scratched, this burning desire to explore. He needed to free his inner adventurer, be in a different environment, and immerse himself in another culture. The timing couldn't be any better. It's been 2 years since Johnny joined the team at Vox. The company was growing rapidly. Now keep in mind, this was 2014 and they were a small YouTube channel, less than 100k subscribers at the time. They wanted to create a video series, something new and fresh. Johnny jumped at this opportunity and pitched an idea that has been brewing in his mind for a while. A documentary style explainer that was shot and filmed exploring international stories. This was all the way back in 2015. Vox has never done anything like this before. This was groundbreaking.
Back then, they were pushing the limit on like what video journalism was.
After some back and forth, Vox approves a very small budget to try this concept. To do a test run of a 3-part video series, the place they decided on was Cuba. Johnny is so excited. This was an opportunity of a lifetime. But with this new excitement came a pressure that he's never felt before. He was solely responsible for this project. This was a massive challenge because he hasn't done anything like this before. He wasn't a documentary filmmaker.
I had never made a legitimate documentary out in the field.
His only experience filming was shooting some weddings, and he had some personal videos that looked like this. He had a mountain of learning to climb before he went on this journey. So he buckles down, hops onto the information superhighway and kicked it into overdrive, consuming everything he could find on filmmaking and video editing. The day finally comes. Whether he's ready or not, he hops onto a plane and flies to Cuba, hits the ground running. He starts interviewing people, immersing himself in the experience, uncovering the stories of what really matters to the people living there. The culmination of his life experiences have led to this point. The international relations program he studied, the skills in motion graphics from his first job at the CSIS, and his curiosity of borders he developed during his Mormon missionary service. The grind pays off. He produces the best videos of his life up to this point. The success of the Cuba videos was the proof of concept Vox needed. They gave the green light to Johnny to officially start this ongoing series that ran for 3 years. It forever changed the trajectory of his career, which was perfectly named Borders. The premise was for Johnny to explore international boundary regions.
I'm gonna go to 6 different borders around the world and look at the human outcomes of what happens when you draw lines on a map.
To investigate what's happening to the lives who've been affected by these rigid lines drawn on a spinning globe that separate different countries. They represent the stories of the division of the haves and have-nots, the unjust political situations, the people who've been pushed to the outskirts of society. Johnny would examine these places through the same eyes and curiosity he had when he was staring at that 20-foot wall that separated Mexico from the US. The Border series on Vox goes on to be a huge success. To this day, they are some of the most watched videos on Vox, currently holding 3 of the top 15 most watched videos on the Vox channel. Not only did he find success on social media, but he was also recognized by the mainstream legacy media, being Emmy nominated for Outstanding Video Journalism not once but twice. Piggybacking off the momentum of the videos at Vox, Johnny decided it was time to start his own YouTube channel while he was still working at Vox, where he started the channel by showing more of his personality and covering lighter, less serious topics compared to his work at Vox. Then he starts the biggest project to date, launching a company, Bright Trip, a platform for educational courses on travel. First Vox, then his personal channel, and then Bright Trip. Johnny is on top of the world. Seemed like everything was going up, but then Johnny's luck runs out and it all comes crashing down. The year was 2020. We all know what happened.
2020 is now the deadliest year.
The timing couldn't be worse for Johnny, especially with his new travel-based company Bright Trip launching just a few months before everything travel and tourism went tits up. And if things couldn't get any worse, a few months after that, his dream job, the work that's been attached to his name, the documentary series Vox Borders, gets cancelled. This was a huge blow to Johnny.
What this represents for me is a very abrupt and unforeseen end to something that I really, really loved and really worked hard to build.
Things were really bad for Johnny. As a creator whose entire brand revolves around exploring the far corners of the world, his content requires travel, and the pandemic kept him grounded. But then, quite the odd series of events happened. During the time when airports were empty and all flights were cancelled, somehow a travel documentary filmmaker had his best year so far. During the global lockdown, Johnny flexed his creativity and showed YouTube that he could cover a wide range of ideas, tackling heavy topics like American imperialism, geopolitical issues, and the heaviest topic of all, American cuisine. Since he no longer worked at a journalistic institution, so he didn't have to filter his content through the lens of Vox. He created light-hearted videos, what he eats for breakfast, why he doesn't shampoo his hair, and the McDonald's ice cream machines. These topics were totally different from the content he made at Vox. And the thing is, his audience loved these new ideas, which showed off more of his personality.
Can I get an ice cream cone?
The ice cream machine is broken.
His deep dive into why the McDonald's ice cream machines are always broken is his most watched video with over 10 million views. And this piece of journalism sparked a $900 million lawsuit against McDonald's.
The FTC is now investigating this issue, the ice cream machine makers, to see if there's something weird going on.
It showed us his flexibility as a creator who could cover serious global issues one week and then talk about Janet Jackson's Nipplegate incident in the next week.
Can I have you naked by the end of this song?
After almost 2 years stuck inside, tourism and travel opened up again. Johnny's able to get back to what he's passionate about, maps and exploring the border regions of the world. But this time it's different. He no longer works at Vox. He's venturing off on his own without the backing of a massive company.
I'm doing it. I'm back. I'm back on the road. I'm doing it.
The new series on his channel that's replacing Vox Borders, called Uncharted, which follows the same premise to investigate the communities who've been split up by the boundaries drawn on a globe by powerful governments and politicians. Johnny's obsession with maps is really an obsession about telling human stories, to shine a light on places in the world that don't get enough media coverage. For example, whether it's with Vox, where he covered stories like those of the people in Nepal who've been pushed to the fringe of society, sandwiched between the two superpowers, India and China, or the Uncharted series, the country of Cyprus that's split in two between the Greeks and the Turks. These are the stories Johnny's obsessed with telling. The people who don't have a voice in the digital world, giving their life experiences a platform to be heard. Johnny's approach is one with international curiosity, creating videos with motion graphics, beautiful cinematography, and most importantly, maps. Hey there, you know you want to. Please hit the subscribe button.